Breaking news. Boxingnego Ennis, the father and trainer of Jaron Boots Ennis, he finally breaks his silence about his son officially becoming a champion in the world of boxing at the welterweight division. Find out what he said in this video. Let's talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I just watched an interview with YSM Sports Media. Boxingnego Ennis, the father and trainer of Jaron Ennis, was being asked about his son now being elevated to the full-bodied IBF champion. Now, for starters, I was the first to break this news to you guys on YouTube. I made a video about it. A lot of you guys seen it. If not, check that video out. And I put out this information. The rankings just came out with the IBF, and Terence Crawford had suddenly been removed from the ranking. His name didn't appear there, and it said, no longer said IC, which is interim champion, and it just said champion Jaron Ennis. So we know what that is, and we know what that means. So my video was, because at the time I recorded the video, there was no confirming source. There were no interviews out asking about it. So just so you guys know, I strive for accuracy on my channel, and the information that I put out, you can usually take it to the bank. And that was the case there. As far as what Boxingnego Ennis said in this interview, he basically said that he knew this time was coming. He said he knew beforehand, but he had to make sure everything was on the up and up and official. And I'm just paraphrasing. You guys can check out the full interview. He basically said he had to make sure, he wanted them to announce it and for the information to come out organically. And then he knew he would be able to talk about it, but he didn't want to put it out. But he said he knew this was coming because Terence Crawford is fighting Errol Spence Jr. and he was ordered to fight Jaron Ennis, and he's not going to be fighting Jaron Ennis next, so they stripped him. And now Jaron Ennis, the interim, becomes the full champion. Now, I will say this about the IBF. They've been pretty consistent with their rule set. Like, they had a rule, I don't know if it's still in place, but they had a rule, if you weigh in, you have to do a second day weigh-in basically, and you can't exceed a certain amount unless it's possibly if it's a unification or something else. But if it's a one belt fight and it's just their belt only, then they had that additional weigh-in to make sure you don't rehydrate too much. So that is going to be interesting for Jaron Boots Ennis if that rule is still in place, because he is a big welterweight. I can tell from the eye test. He got some high height on him for the division, and that's just, I'm curious how he can even comfortably make the weight. But he's young, so I guess your body is more pliable and forgiving and flexible overall. But as far as Jaron Ennis being elevated, I mean, it's not surprising. You see this oftentimes in boxing. It recently happened with Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo was ordered to fight Tim Tszyu. Jermell Charlo got a big offer to fight Canelo Alvarez, and as a result, he chose to fight Canelo Alvarez. That's game-changing money that he made in that fight, I'm sure, his biggest paycheck. So he chose, for the opportunity to fight Canelo, he chose that route. And in doing so, he didn't fight Tim Tszyu, so the WBO did the same thing and stripped him. And that's what happened with Tim Tszyu. And I said it in the last video, and I'm going to say it in this video. Boxingnego Ennis did talk about this, but in my last video, I noted, and I want you guys, and I'm going to keep bringing it up because I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. But I want you guys to note that when it's a black fighter, I see all this hoopla and narratives and propaganda, oftentimes with black fighters, when something like this comes about and you have Jaron Ennis, who's basically getting elevated to a champion without having to fight a champion, right? People seem to mock this, but it's only with certain people. So Jaron Ennis, we know he's been trying to fight the big names for quite some time. He's been trying to get in there with Errol Spence. He said he the big fish, I'll reel him in or something like that. I remember when he fought Castillo Clayton, Errol Spence was in the crowd and he even called out Errol Spence after the fight, right? He's been calling out Terence Crawford for a while. He's been calling out big names like Keith Thurman. He had a fight that was reportedly a green light with Cody Crowley, and then they said Cody Crowley backed out the last minute. So the point I'm making is Boots Ennis is a huge threat, and he's been trying to line up big fights and big name fights, but he represents so much danger that guys weren't really willing to take him up on that offer, right? So I've always been a fan of Jaron Ennis. Pause. I'm glad it kind of happened like this, because at the end of the day, who knows if or when or how long it would take for Jaron Ennis to get a name fight. Now guys are going to look real stupid if you don't want to fight Jaron Ennis if he's now a champion. It's just like Devin Haney. Devin Haney is a champion. Why would you not want to fight if he's a champion and he has the full belt? So are you that afraid of fighting Jaron Ennis where you don't want to fight him to become a champion? So basically, this decision has made it to the point where you have to go through Jaron Ennis to become a champion. You're going to have to either go at this point, as of me recording the video, you're going to have to either go through Terence Crawford or Jaron Ennis, because they're the only guys at welterweight with full-body belts. So I rather like that, because that means to become a champion, again, you have to beat, as of me recording right now. So to me, that still helps bring clarity to the division. You have to fight a quality champion, either Jaron Ennis or Crawford, to become a champion in this division currently. So I like that. Now, as far as Terence Crawford getting stripped, some people say it's premature, but I mean, at the end of the day, Crawford has, I'm going to say he's not done himself any favors, because after beating Errol Spence, he did interviews with, I believe, Hot 97, and he really showed zero interest in fighting Jaron Ennis. He says that at this point of his career, the fight means nothing. I've seen online where fans said, hey, you need to grow a pair and fight Jaron Ennis. And he said, I heard this story before. So nothing about it made it sound like Crawford wanted to fight Jaron Ennis or was looking in that direction. He feels like, hey, y'all wanted me to fight Errol Spence. I did that. I'm looking for big money fights, either Errol Spence rematch or Canelo he called out, or Charlo at a point he called out. And he wasn't really looking down the path of Jaron Ennis, his own words. This is not my speculation. This is not my opinion. This is what Crawford literally said. So that being said, the show must go on. And if you're not trying to fight Jaron Ennis for the belt, I mean, he did everything in his power to get the fight. He called you out, worked himself up the rankings, had exciting, scintillating performances like Thomas Delorme, a mutual opponent that Crawford also fought, and more recently, Roman Villa, who was very tough and durable. So he really wasn't going to get an opportunity at a title shot. So it does, in this instance, kind of make sense, even though I know some people disagree with it, because at what point do we draw the line in the sand where a champion is just holding a belt hostage and then no one can ever become a champion and then they don't fight their mandatories? You know, that's why I was never a big fan of the franchise champion program with the WBC, because again, at the end of the day, if you could just become a franchise champion and duck your mandatories, then what's the point of working yourself up the rankings and having strong performances to the point where you should, like, it's almost like a job and a promotion. You working yourself up the rankings and getting to the #1 spot where the mandatory gets called, that's almost like getting a promotion and getting into a better position with a better desk and more money. You know what I mean? That's an opportunity at the very least. So I think fighters really should be getting the opportunity. I remember Errol Spence, he had to do a lot to get the IBF because Kell Brook played the same kind of charade where he was saying he wants the big fights with Thurman. He wants to fight against Manny Pacquiao. You know, and he was saying, Errol Spence, who is this guy? Why should I fight him? And yada, yada, yada. And fast forward to the future, Errol, when he finally got the chance after the Golovkin fight, Errol was capable of beating him because he actually went to Sheffield and beat him. So that's the funny part about boxing, is sometimes you have a champion and they'll be in their high horse and they're like, why should I fight this underling kind of guy? Why should I fight this mandatory? And then when they fight, when the fight gets forced over time or something, and then that person that they said, why should I fight him? That person ends up beating him, just like Errol Spence and Kell Brook. So that's why we need to see the fights, because it's going to be a winner and it's going to be a loser. And, you know, that's any competition. You look at the NBA, you got to play the teams in your seed and then play and get to the playoffs. And then the people who win the playoffs go to the finals. It's that simple. But boxing, it's a whole different circus, a whole different animal where, you know, guys want, some try to pick and choose and things like that. So all in all, I'm happy for Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis, his pops talked about it. He was asked about, hey, how do you feel getting the champion? And exactly what I said in my last video, Jaron Ennis's pop said. He's like, this is not ideal. This is not how we chose, how we wanted to get the belt. We wanted to fight for the belt. We've been calling out everybody, check our track record. So absolutely, this was not our first choice to get the belt in this fashion. However, you got to get it how it comes. And he was saying, basically, you got to just roll with the punches and take it as it comes. And this is how it happened. So I'm still happy for my son. But yeah, we would have preferred to fight for the title by beating a Crawford or Errol Spence. And I can respect that, because Devin Haney, he's a credible champion now, but people said he was the email champion, right? Because he got the belt. That's all because of politics and how it's playing out. But it's not like these guys, like Devin Haney didn't want to fight the champions. He called out Lomachenko. He was down to fight Lomachenko. So it's up to Lomachenko. If he felt confident at that time in beating Devin Haney, then instead of becoming a franchise champion, he should have fought Devin Haney. But notice the double standards. When Devin Haney, Jermall Charlo, and now Boots, 3 Black American fighters, when they become quote unquote email champions and get their belt in the mail, everybody has all this negativity. But then Tim Tszyu, same thing happened. He got elevated and nobody said anything except for Boxingego, you know? And I just find that hypocritical. You got to keep it all the way even, Steven. So me, it shakes things up. I'm kind of happy that it played out like this, because Jaron Ennis, he was just going to be on the back burner for a while, because at the very least, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence have possibly a rematch, you know? So Boots would just be waiting, and they might even move the fight to 154. So I think to get some fresh blood in there, this wasn't a bad decision. And again, I know some people disagree because they wanted to see Crawford keep the belt, but he's already set his name in the history books being the only male to 2X undisputed. So he had the IBF and he didn't lose it in the ring. So it doesn't really hurt him. He already has the actual milestone by becoming undisputed, beating Errol Spence after being undisputed at 40 when he beat Ndongo. So his history doesn't really change with this move. And again, it's all politics, guys getting stripped and different things. So let me know how I did in this video. Subscribe. I am your one-stop shop for all your boxing needs. Let me know what you guys think. Jaron Boots Ennis, his team, congratulations. They broke their silence on getting the belt. Not really the most conventional way, but it does happen, and we know why it happened. Subscribe to my channel. We Unpacked. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, Gym or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We work it.